I'll never forget our first close-up cheetah encounter. The cheetah was walking directly toward our vehicle. Nobody said a word. Even our guide stopped talking. For about 30 seconds, all we could hear was the grass brushing underneath his paws. Then he looked directly at us and calmly walked right past our vehicle. I learned the best wildlife encounters usually come down to the choices you make before you spot that animal.
Welcome to 100 Countries and Counting. After visiting 100 countries, we've seen incredible wildlife on every continent.
But nowhere have I felt more connected to nature than a safari. It remains one of the most powerful travel experiences I've ever had. But it also comes with a learning curve. And so let's get started with the mistakes I see most often.
What happened that made you think, okay, I get it now?
One afternoon in Masai Mara, another vehicle suddenly raced past us. They were chasing a leopard sighting. Our guide stayed a few minutes in the area, but the leopard was hidden in the bushes. So our guide quietly smiled and drove in the opposite direction, as he spotted lions just a few minutes away. After watching the lions for 30 minutes, we drove back to the leopard area and had prime visibility, watching the leopard slowly walk in front of our vehicle, and because everyone else was parked in a different area, we had the entire sighting to ourselves. Had we chased the first sighting, we probably would have missed one of the best encounters of the trip. That's when I realized a great guide isn't chasing wildlife. They're reading nature, they see what others miss, and shape the entire experience. My advice, instead of asking, what's the cheapest safari, ask, what delivers the best experience for my budget? That question changes everything.
Was it what you were expecting?
That's exactly what I thought. Until our very first morning, for the first 30 minutes on Chobe River, all we seen were crocodiles. We started wondering if this was going to be one of those quiet mornings or overhyped safari parks. Then one crocodile lunged. Suddenly, 6 to 8 crocodiles were at the same spot. We realized we weren't watching a crocodile, we were watching nature unfold. Within seconds, every camera on the boat was pointed in the same direction. A crocodile eating a hippo with crocodiles lining up for their feed with the hippos in the background. Elephants along the shoreline. A safari is not a theme park. You're entering nature. And nature doesn't follow schedules. Sometimes wildlife appears immediately, sometimes you wait. Sometimes the most memorable moments happen unexpectedly. And honestly, that unpredictability is the part of the magic. My advice, arrive with curiosity instead of a checklist. You'll enjoy the safari much more.
Did you find you were chasing the big five?
This mistake affects many first-time visitors. Africa is enormous, and safari regions are very different. By our 8th game drive, we finally stopped asking what animal we're going to see today and started recognizing individual elephant families, the dominant male lion, zebras. By the end of our trip, I realized if we had stayed longer in one reserve, it would have been a completely different trip. I learned something. Safari rewards slower travel, fewer camps, less driving through Kenya, and more game drive in a single location. Because wildlife sightings improve when you stay longer. At some point, safari stops being about seeing animals. It became about understanding them.
You tend to overpack. Did you overpack for this trip?
Safari packing creates anxiety due to the luggage weight limits, and I've seen two extremes, people bringing too much or bringing the wrong things entirely. Nobody warned us that we'd be wearing jackets before sunrise, and by lunch we'll be in short sleeve. My advice, pack for function, not fashion. Colors matter to avoid being bitten by the testy flies. Spray your clothes prior to packing, prevents mosquitoes from biting you. Safari isn't a runway, it's an experience.
Everyone asks when they should go. Is there a good time to go?
Timing matters a lot. This is one of the biggest safari misconceptions. Wildlife viewing changes dramatically during the seasons. We had planned our trip to see the famous migration, except as soon as the animals crossed over to Masai Mara, the migration changed direction after the rain shifted elsewhere. While there are no guarantees to see animals or a great migration, the dry season does make it easier to spot the animals since the plants are lower and sparser. Regardless of the season, after the third or fourth game drive, something changed. We stopped worrying about what animals we would see next and started appreciating everything happening around us. That's when safari becomes so much more than just checking animals off the list. Safari is an incredible, photogenic, and yes, you want photos? One afternoon, I lowered my camera. Someone laughed loudly. The elephant lifted his head, flared his ears, and started walking directly toward our vehicle. We never photographed it, but it's the moment I remember most. Sometimes the best safari memory isn't the perfect picture, it's the feeling. This may sound minor. It isn't. Vehicle matters. Crowded vehicles can limit views. Instead of watching the lions, we spent half the sighting trying to see around other vehicles and photographers. Smaller groups provide better visibility and personalized guiding. The experience difference can be significant.
Is a safari only about the big five?
Ah, yes, the big five. They're exciting, no question. Some of our favorite sightings weren't elephants or giraffes. They were unexpected. We spent an hour hoping to see the leopard hidden in the bush, surrounded by vehicles, hoping for a glimpse. Then our guide noticed a lion family interacting just a few hundred yards away. Our guide quietly turned the vehicle and drove toward another group of lions. Watching a dominant male mating with two females in succession was something our guide told us was an uncommon sighting. We would have missed this opportunity if we remained in the leopard area. Safari becomes richer when you stop obsessing over the big five and start appreciating the ecosystem.
Was getting up before sunrise really worth it?
So, safari mornings are very early, and first-timers sometimes underestimate this. The 5 a.m. wake-up call before sunrise by staff members with fresh coffee and biscuits felt painful, until 20 minutes later a hyena crossed the road in front of us. Game drives and hot air balloon rides may occur while most people are still asleep. But here's the thing. Those hours often produce the best sightings. So yes, it's early, and yes, it's worth it.
What's your biggest mistake?
My biggest mistake of all is putting safari into the someday category. I spent years saying, someday I'll do Africa. Then one day I finally booked it with a friend. Now when people ask me what experience changed how I see the world, safari is always near the top of the list. Safari is one of those experiences that exceed expectations. It's not just a vacation. It reminds you how extraordinary wildlife and this planet truly are. And for many travelers, it becomes life-changing.
My biggest mistake was not going on the safari with you after seeing all the pictures you were sending back to us.
Yes.
While you were there.
So those safari mistakes I see most often and how to avoid them. And honestly, if I could leave you with one takeaway, after visiting 100 countries, I've seen incredible cities, famous landmarks, and beautiful beaches. But watching wildlife exactly as they have for thousands of years reminds you some of the world's greatest experiences can't be built by people. I am looking forward to returning someday soon. After visiting 100 countries, there are only a handful of experiences I tell someone they absolutely have to do. An African safari is one of them. Remember that cheetah from the beginning? That wasn't luck. It was patience, a great guide, and letting Africa unfold on its own. The wildlife was incredible. But what surprised me most was how safari changed the way I look at nature long after I came home.
After watching today's video, if you could only choose one African animal to see in a while, what would it be? Leave your answer in the comments. And if you enjoy honest travel experiences and wildlife adventures from 100 countries and counting, we'd love to have you subscribe. If you're planning a bucket list wildlife trip, you'll also enjoy our video on safari versus Galapagos versus Antarctica, which wildlife experience wins. And we've discovered the best adventures are still ahead, because after 100 countries, we're still exploring.
We're Desiree.
And Michael.
And we're 100 countries and counting.